Luis, nice to meet you online.
Hi, Milton. Nice to meet you. It's my pleasure.
Can you introduce yourself, please?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, my name is Luis Mandel. I live in Munich, Germany since July 1990, almost 33 years ago. I came here for studying and for 4 years, but that was 33 years ago, and I remain here. I have a kid here. I live alone. And 2.5 years ago, I got very sick due to Corona. I would have to be hospitalized. I spent almost 2 months at the hospital, at the intensive care unit. And after that, I got the feeling I'm going to die at the intensive care unit. The next day, the doctors told me, yesterday we were very concerned about your health. And I could recover. Corona took me a long time to recover. The long COVID was really very hard, but I succeed. But it was not for free, let's say. I decided to make changes in my life, and I thought that at that moment when you are at the intensive care unit and you have no pain, but you cannot breathe, and you are in panic, immediately you get in panic, and then you see that you realize that all your saving account, all your whatever you have, your car, your house, whatever, is meaningless. Absolutely is nothing. Then when I got out of the hospital, a colleague of mine always was saying to me, let's make a trip with a motorbike. Got a motorbike and just do it. Go from Ushuaia to Alaska, or let's try to do that. Actually, well, he's a very good motorbike. He was running for the Ducati team, and I never ever had a motorbike. And I decided, okay, well, now maybe things should be done when we are alive and not dreaming. Stop dreaming, just do it. And well, that was my idea. Okay, let's buy a motorbike. Let's make the driving license for a motorbike. And I was 61 years old when I started my driving license. And well, I did my driving license, and the next day I got a motorbike. And let's start driving, make small trips, not smaller, maybe 200, 300, 400 kilometers. And I did a lot of trips, biking, long distance biking trips. A couple of 1,000 kilometers. I mean, from Germany to the Black Sea, 8 countries biking, 100 kilometers daily in average. I was using one platform called Warm Showers, which is like, let's say, couch surfing, but for bikers.
Yeah.
And yes.
For bicycles, actually. Yeah, that's the original intent.
For bicycles.
Between Americans and Europeans, there is usually a confusion like that. One day I was talking to a girl in couch surfing, and we decided to meet in the city. And she said, okay, I'll come over on my bike. I said, I'll come over on my bike too. And I showed up on a motorcycle. She showed up on a bicycle. Which was awkward.
Well, okay, it happens. Well, I after this trip, long trip, I make many trips in Germany, Europe, in Italy, from Turin to Venice, from Munich to the North Sea, and so on. I make 5, 6 long distance trips. And now I decide to make some motorbike trip. but I realized there is no platform, no real platform like warm showers for motorbikers. Then I say, okay, I am an IT person, let's build one. And I built dirtyroad.org, which is intended to be like warm showers or grassroots or be welcome, something, but devoted for motorbikers. And I said, okay, but let's put something more than only a motorbiker place where you look for hosting or look for, let's do something, a blog, and put some interviews for about people who are traveling around the world with a motorbike or has a lot of experience. Tell us your experience. And this is the idea why I contact you, Milton. And well, let's talk about that.
Sure, happy to do it. Yeah,
well,
I have been using networks to travel as well. You know, that is some similarity between our histories. Other than COVID, I never got it, but in all the other aspects, yeah, there are some similarities. So yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Well, I have some questions already. What made you decide to ride a motorcycle? Why did you start?
In any conversation about motorcycles, this usually comes up. So I have a prop to show you here. It's this book, Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. I read this a long time ago, in the 80s, and I fell in love with the story and the meaning of the book and everything. And since I read it, I had a dream of doing long distance travels on motorcycles. It took a few years to start, but at some point, same story. I got a license and I bought my first motorcycle, which I crashed on the first day riding. So I took it out of the store, rode about 100 kilometers and 60 miles or so, and I crashed. And
wow.
It was still rideable, so I limped it all the way home. And next day I went to another store and had to replace one side of the motorcycle, basically. But I didn't get hurt after that. And in retrospective, I say it was, if you want to have an accident on a motorcycle, do the way I did. You know, make it hard, but don't get hurt. So you learn to respect it. You learn that it bites, and you cannot play around with it. But don't get seriously hurt, so you can continue. And since then, I think I had something like 20 motorcycles or so, and been riding for like 30 years or more. I probably, I for many years I didn't count, so I have a rough estimate that I did about 500,000 miles, but it's a very rough estimate.
A friend of mine used to say, who is also a motorbiker, used to say, motorbikers are divided into groups: the people who already have an accident and the people which are going to have an accident in the motorbike.
Yeah, there are a lot of sayings like this, and one that I like is that there are audacious bikers and there are old bikers, but there are no audacious old bikers.
Okay, well, you have already answered my second question, which was, how long have you been riding a motorbike? You said
30 years or more. I don't know. It's I'm guessing here because it was on and off for a few years. I didn't have a motorcycle when I was moving back to US, and then I bought then I decided to have a Valkyrie, and I had Valkyries ever since. But for some years I didn't have any, and then I sold, and then it's like that.
Okay. And what is your which was your first motorbike?
It was some 350 little racing bike, racing style, that Yamaha that they used to sell in Brazil, and they used to call it Widowmaker. And
Okay.
and and then after that I had CBRs. I had several CBRs. I remember a VMAX. I had some other bikes that were total piece of crap that I don't remember. But then I finally upgraded to a Ninja, to a Kawasaki, and that was pretty amazing. The Valkyrie, the VMAX was impressive, but I only had it for a little while. And then later when I got my first Valkyrie, since then I even tried to buy other motorcycles, but I just don't find anything that I like. So I had three Valkyries so far.
Okay. And your current motorbike is?
I have two right now. One Valkyrie here in Florida, and another one is in Ukraine.
In Ukraine. Wow.
Yeah, so that's the one that I use in Europe. I did tour. I toured Europe several years. I think I visit some 24 countries, something like that. Again, I'm not good at counting.
Okay.
But I last time that I left the bike there with a friend, it was in Ukraine, and then the war began. So I'm hoping that soon I'll be able to go there, get the bike started again, get it out of Ukraine, and travel in Europe once more.
Do you put names to your motorbikes?
Yes, the one in they're both Valkyries. They are both wide, big bikes. So the one in Europe, I call her La Gorda. Yeah, and
the fat
fat lady. Yeah, and the one here in the US, it's an all black bike. So I call her Grace Jones.
Okay, yeah. Nice. Okay, well, this was till Ukraine was your largest adventure.
Yeah, I would say so. The latest long trip was in Europe.
Okay.
I crossed Europe between Ukraine and Spain several times, usually going across the Alps 2 or 3 times, visiting friends. So I always go through Germany, and I a few times I was able to coordinate the dates correctly. So I was in Munich for Oktoberfest, or I wanted to be in Fackensee for the bike week there, the European Bike Week. And a couple times I was there for Taras of Agora, which is the biker festival in Ukraine. And I visited a few other smaller festivals there, but Taras of Agora was the most important to me. So I have been to it 3 times so far.
Okay, wonderful. You can recall which was your best moment on the tour?
There are a few. They were all similar.
Yeah.
So I'll give you one example, but
Please.
all those moments are very similar. One day I was going through Iowa on my way to Sturgis, to the Sturgis Bike Week. And that one day I left the city of Dubuque. I think that's how they pronounce it, Dubuque, something like that. So I left the city, and then there are some very soft rolling hills and curved, slightly curved roads. So it's not a really straight line, but it's close to being a straight line. And the temperature was perfect. A little bit of a breeze that was perfect and feeling very cool. I was going with a girlfriend that she was awesome, and the weather was awesome, the motorcycle was awesome, the girl was awesome, the breakfast before was awesome. Everything was so perfect in every way. That trip was perfect. And at some point, going through these hills, there was an aircraft going very slow, one of those crop dusters. And we waved at the aircraft, and the aircraft waved back. You know, pilots, they do a little bit of rolling to acknowledge that they saw you. And I was so happy. I was so in that moment that I cried riding, and that caused a little bit of a problem. I had to stop and clean and clean up, and my girl asked, you know, what's happening? So, aren't you happy? That's and this happens. Similar situations happen crossing the Alps or visiting friends that I didn't see in a long time, or yeah, especially during these trips in Europe. They were very intense. A couple times in America as well.
Okay. And on the contrary, you think probably at some point you have a bad moment on your motorbike?
I had, and one comes to mind, which is a trip that I did with a friend, and I committed to a certain schedule with her, the cities that we wanted to visit, the countries. That was in Europe. And so we made a 10-week schedule. But as the trip went by, our relationship started deteriorating. And at some point it became unpleasant. So it reached a level of unpleasantness that I had to stop at some point at some city and tell her, you take the train to the next place. And I took a week off of this trip. Then I pick her up again. We tried again, continue, but at some point had to put her on a train again. It wasn't, it didn't work out. So we did about 7 of the 10 weeks together, and all that unpleasantness, I would say it was out of neglecting an advice that I always give to people, which is, if you're going to travel with someone that is not like, well, with anyone, do a short trip first, and then do a little longer trip, then do a little longer, so you figure out how you get along, what is your tolerance for risk and what is your tolerance for discomfort. Because people's attitudes tend to change when they are tired, or when they are upset, when their expectations are not met. Same with you, right? So I neglected my own advice, and I committed to a very long schedule with someone that would have worked out very well for short trips, but I wouldn't do a long trip again.
Yes, it's a very good advice. I agree with you. What about memorable trips or your favorite roads? Some road you said, okay, this I would do it again, or I can only recommend.
Yeah, I made a list that is somewhere on Facebook. That is an album full of what I call the greatest rides I ever found. And it had some 30 or more segments or trips all over Europe and all over the United States, and some in South America too. At some point I stopped maintaining that list, because nobody
It's endless.
ever follow any of those suggestions that I know of. Nobody cares. So, and
Okay.
and in a way, I accept that. You know, they have to have their own experience. They have to discover their own places, and what they are going to like on a road may not be the same that I like. You know, so a lot of these roads that I like so much are very challenging. Like somewhere crossing the Alps or somewhere going through canyons. I discovered a canyon in Serbia that was amazing, but it was very hard on the bike. So you know, you can do it, and you need to be very self-reliant, because if you break down over there, you're on your own. You know, it's like you could just as well be in Africa. You know, it's not you're not breaking down near Munich. You know, it's very
No.
very different. So
where in Serbia?
That is a road that goes along the northeast end of Serbia. I was coming from Romania and going to Bulgaria. So I took a turn that went through the northeast end of Serbia. I'll post the map here. But it was amazing. It was one of the greatest. Actually, in Serbia, I found two of the greatest roads that made to that list. But I don't think any of my friends ever follow any of my suggestions, so I don't care anymore.
Okay. And what about your next adventure? Where are you going?
I'm not sure that my next adventure will be on a motorcycle. I have some plans in my life that I'm working on, and right now I'm building a flying boat, and I believe that the flying boat will be the next thing. I may do some trips in the near future, but short trips, you know, when a friend comes to visit and we decide to go see the Florida Keys or go to some other place in Florida. But riding motorcycles across America in the near future are not, I don't have any plans. And that's another thing that sometimes I remember being critical of others when they slow down or they stop traveling by motorcycle. And later, as I mature and I go through life myself, I discover that some people, they marry and they have kids and all that, and I criticize a lot of them for them getting married and stop riding. I say, oh, you turn boring. Now I understand that, yeah, their relationship to risk and tolerance to discomfort changed, but a lot of other things make you change. You know, that the same events are not going to change just your motorcycle habits. They may change the way you work, how you dedicate yourself to jobs or the kind of things you do. They may change your sexuality. They may change your social life in many other ways. Why not change the motorcycle? Also, some people, as they get older, the effort and the discomfort of the motorcycle may be too much for them. And some people, like I believe it's my case, they discover another toy that is even more interesting. You know, so why not accept that motorcycles are amazing? They are a way to discover the world that is incredible, but they are not the only toy. You know, so I think I'm moving gradually into my new one.
Your new toy. Okay.
Yeah. I still want to do some riding in Europe, though, that is still on my list. So it's not the end, but I think I'm approaching it.
Okay, but you have the motorbike here in Ukraine still.
Yeah, it's there.
Yeah, you have to pick it up.
I have to. Actually, getting the bike back into running condition is not difficult. I know excellent mechanics in Kiev that I trust that they can get the bike in top shape again with no problem. The problem is getting the bike out of Ukraine, because I stayed, I went there with the bike and then I left. and I never registered the bike. I didn't import, and they have some rules that apparently I violated those rules. So right now, to get the bike out, I would have to pay a penalty, and that penalty is more than the price of the bike. So it would
Makes
be,
sense.
yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So depending on what happens, I may have to just leave that motorcycle, like register and import it into Ukraine, or I'll have to leave it to use it there with the American license plate, which is a possibility. So I don't know, but I'm not that familiar with the rules to know for sure. I will figure it out next time I go.
Okay, okay. When you are on trip, what do you prefer, to camp, to go to a hotel, to stay at people's home?
Depends if I am traveling alone or if I'm traveling with a girl that is a girlfriend. You know, I'm not married, so usually I get a girlfriend and go traveling. But if I'm traveling with a girl and we are connected, so then I often use hotels because then I want the privacy
Yeah, sure.
for obvious reasons. But when I'm traveling alone, I like to visit more other people, and then I like to camp more. And especially when I'm traveling uh, alone and the weather is nice, then I clearly prefer camping. I even have a camouflage cover for the bike. So I go to one of these side roads, you know, little country roads. I find one corner and I put the bike there, cover it, and I walk into the woods and I find a place to camp. I love to do it.
Do you have experience with hospitality networks like I mentioned, Trust Routes, Be
A lot,
Welcome?
a lot. It started with couch surfing, where I became one of the top 1% hosts there. I hosted more than 600 people,
Wow.
and I on couch surfing alone, and I visit more than 500 or so. So I was getting close to 900 reviews there when I had a disagreement with couch surfing and they canceled my account, and they never responded. Well, I had more than one disagreement with them and they never responded why, or never gave me any opportunity to fix it or to appeal to that. So I thought, okay, they don't want to talk about it. I'll choose whatever is the reason that fits me best. But I have accounts on Be Welcome. I use the Hash House Harriers network, which is a network also global of people that like to drink beer and run, and they host each other often.
I
They
know
also
it.
travel together. Exactly. So I'm a hasher, and I use Facebook. Right now I have so many friends that I met from one of those networks, and they are my friends on Facebook, which is pretty much the only reason that I keep a Facebook account. It's
Yeah.
to talk to people. Yeah, I post a lot of shit there, and I post a lot of jokes, and yeah, okay, it's there, I use it. But the real reason that I keep it, and I'll probably never close that account, is because of all the friends that I have. Then yeah, between personal networks, like I did an experience recently. I went with my girlfriend by car this time. We went from Florida to Oregon and back, and we visit people the entire time. We only use hotels 2 nights. All the rest of it was all using, and I confirmed to myself, okay, I don't need couch surfing anymore. I have so many connections that now I can lose any single network and still be okay. Also, I have a startup, which is another network for travelers. That is still going on. It's a project that I'm trying to move forward. But this time on this video, I prefer to talk about you and your network than
Yeah.
fine.
Okay. Well, okay. Thanks a lot. Now, what would be your final words for my community, Dirty Road community?
My only suggestion to your community and to any community like this is that you have to don't focus on the motorcycles. The motorcycles are incidental. It's just a passion that we have. You know, the fact that we both have motorcycles doesn't even mean that we are going to like each other if we meet in person. But that is one aspect that actually is common ground between all of us, which is hospitality. So if you focus on that and focus on developing that aspect, informing people on how to be a good guest, how to be a good host, what are the protocols to use, how to respect people and how to help them. Make people understand that your guest is not there to entertain you. You are there to help them. You know, also your host is not there to serve you. Your host is giving you an opportunity to be nice to the host as well. So this way, nobody feels that anybody owes anybody anything. This is an opportunity to be kind to each other and to make a friend. If that is the focus, the network grows in a healthy way. And also it will require intense moderation. I noticed that on any network where people meet in person and lifestyles will clash and also personalities will crash. And in any network, just like in life in general, you have about 1% of the people that they are assholes. And you need to have mechanisms to keep them out and to keep the psychopaths and sociopaths out. If you develop those mechanisms, your network grows really well. But if you try to make it automatic and try to let it, let it go organically only, yeah, you're going to have some trouble and people will leave.
Yeah, that's okay, Milton. Well, thanks a lot. It was really very nice, very interesting, your words. Well,
I wish you success.
Okay, thanks a lot. Same for you.
Okay. Thank you.